Unreal Engine, Blueprints Tutorial for Beginners. Introduction to Blueprints. If you are just getting started with blueprints, this tutorial provides a high-level overview of what they are and what they can do. The Blueprint visual scripting system in Unreal Engine is a complete gameplay scripting system based on the concept of using a node-based interface to create gameplay elements from within Unreal Editor. Similar to many common scripting languages, it is used to define object-oriented OO classes or objects in the engine. As you use UE4, you'll often find that objects defined using Blueprint are colloquially referred to as just blueprints. This system is extremely flexible and powerful as it provides designers with the ability to use virtually the full range of concepts and tools generally only available to programmers. In addition, Blueprint-specific markup available in Unreal Engine's C++ implementation enables programmers to create baseline systems that can be extended by designers. How do blueprints work? In their basic form, blueprints are visually scripted additions to your game. By connecting nodes, events, functions, and variables with wires, it is possible to create complex gameplay elements. Blueprints work by using graphs of nodes for various purposes: object construction, individual functions, and general gameplay events that are specific to each instance of the blueprint to implement behavior and other functionality. Commonly used blueprint types. The most common blueprint types you will be working with are level blueprints and blueprint classes. Level blueprint. Each level has its own level blueprint, which can reference and manipulate actors within the level, control cinematics using matinee actors, and manage things like level streaming, checkpoints, and other level-related systems. The level blueprint can also interact with blueprint classes placed in the level, such as reading/setting any variables or triggering custom events they might contain. Blueprint class. Blueprint classes are ideal for making interactive assets such as doors, switches, collectible items, and destructible scenery. These blueprints contain the necessary script to respond to player overlap events, make them animate, play sound effects, and change their materials. For example, pressing a button activates an event inside the door blueprint, causing it to open. Because of the self-contained nature of blueprints, they can be constructed in such a way that you can drop them into a level, and they will simply work with minimal setup required. Editing a blueprint that is in use throughout a project will update every instance of it. What else can blueprints do? Create customizable prefabs with construction scripts. The construction script is a type of graph within blueprint classes that executes when that actor is placed or updated in the editor, but not during gameplay. It is useful for creating easily customizable props that allow environment artists to work faster. Create a playable game character, not during gameplay. It is useful for creating easily Pawns are also a type of blueprint class, and it is possible to put together every element you need for a playable character in the blueprint graph. You can manipulate camera behavior, set up input events for mouse, controller, and touchscreens, and create an animation blueprint asset for handling skeletal mesh animations. Create a HUD. Blueprint script can be used to create a game's HUD. It can read variables from other blueprints and use them to display a health bar, update a score value, display objective markers, and more. Types of blueprints. Blueprints can be one of several types that each have their own specific use. Blueprint type. Description. Blueprint class. An asset that allows content creators to add functionality on top of existing gameplay classes. Data-only blueprint. A blueprint class that contains only the inherited code, variables, and components. Level blueprint. A specialized blueprint that acts as a level-wide global event graph. Blueprint interface. A collection of one or more functions that can be added to other blueprints. Blueprint macro library. A container that holds a collection of macros or self-contained graphs that can be placed as nodes in other blueprints. Blueprint utility. An editor-only blueprint that can be used to perform editor actions or extend editor functionality. Blueprint anatomy. Components window. The Components window inside the Blueprint editor allows you to add components to your blueprint, such as collision geometry, rendered geometry, and movement control. Construction script. The construction script runs when an instance of a blueprint class is created, allowing the blueprint class instance to perform initialization operations. Event graph. The event graph of a blueprint contains a node graph that uses events and function calls to perform actions in response to gameplay events associated with the blueprint. Functions. Functions are node graphs belonging to a particular blueprint that can be executed or called from another graph within the blueprint. Variables. Variables are properties that hold a value or reference an object or actor in the world. These properties can be accessible internally to the blueprint or externally so that their values can be modified by designers. Blueprint modes. A blueprint's mode determines what is visible in its window. Default mode. Set the defaults for the blueprint. Components mode. Add, remove, and modify the components that make up your blueprint. Graph mode. Edit the graphs of your blueprint, including the event graph and construction script. Conclusion. Blueprints provide a powerful and flexible way to create and manipulate gameplay elements in Unreal Engine. By understanding and utilizing the different types of blueprints and their components, you can create complex and interactive game mechanics without writing a single line of code. Happy scripting!